Welcome to Canadian Beer Journal. My name is Kevin. This is entry number 10. Minor milestone. We're into double digits now. It's actually a little bit further than I thought I would come, so I don't know. I'm happy. I actually went to Wellington Brewery earlier today, which is up in Guelph. It's about an hour out of Toronto, where I'm based out of, and got a couple of their retail outlet exclusive beers. So let's see. I got a 6 pack of their Terrestrial India Brown Ale, which is something I'm quite excited to try. It's actually a reboot of a one-off that they did, I think, last year. So they've reissued that one. So we'll see. Maybe it'll end up as a actual LCBO product soon enough. I also got the very newly released Imperial strength version, the Extra Terrestrial Imperial Brown Ale. This one's 8.2%, 90 IBUs, so that should be fairly bracing hop-wise. And finally, picked up their Sputnik, which is a bourbon barrel aged version of their very reasonably priced Russian Imperial Stout. Sells for, I think, about $3 a can in the LCBO. I'm gonna be interested to try that one. I might leave it for a little bit because Wellington's a fairly traditional sort of English style brewery, and that their Russian Imperial Stout's a fairly, I guess, conservative take on it. So I'm interested to see how it works with bourbon aging. Anyhow, that leads into my discussion topic for the day, which is, what do you guys expect when you go to a retail outlet, an actual brewery's retail store, as between going to a regular retail store, in my case the LCBO or the beer store? I've had a range of experiences. I've had some places that had the owner working cash that day, as it turns out, so really knowledgeable, really helpful. And some of the larger ones have had just retail staff operating the places, maybe not familiar with the product itself, just people who can serve alcohol legally. So what do you guys look for when you go to a local brewery? Are you looking to just support a local business? Are you looking to just get the exclusive beers? You don't really care about what the experience is like? Or are you looking to actually speak with someone who's more knowledgeable than your average retail employee about the beers themselves? So leave some comments down below. If you've been to a brewery, if you support a local brewery regularly, if you're meaning to go, what you're hoping to see there, etc. All right, so the beer tonight, last in our run on flavored porters. This is Old North. It's a Lake of Bays product. It's done with Diesel House Coffee Roasters, and it's 5.2%. So it's about what you'd expect for a porter. Not really on the strong end, not really on the light end, and comes packaged in the 750 ml bottle. So yeah, let's crack it open, see what we think. Alright. So we got a pretty tall head on there. That's, I don't know, about two of my fingers. I got kind of thin fingers, so a finger and a half to you. In the light, it's not quite opaque. It's very dark brown. I can see just a little bit of light in it. Not much carbonation or anything happening in there. It's just a pretty thick looking porter. Alright, let's take a smell on it. So initially, I'm definitely still getting roasted barley, kind of yeasty beer note first, and then maybe in the background there's a little bit of roasted coffee. It's not a super vivid coffee note. I've had a couple of coffee porters which really hit you with just like a punch of coffee off the nose. Mill Street Coffee Porter, it can vary a little bit, but sometimes it's like really intense. Just smells like someone put a shot of black coffee in there. This is definitely a bit lighter on that scale. Not a huge hop presence or anything, and not a lot of sweetness I'm detecting in the nose. So maybe that's what the coffee's doing there. It's just kind of counterbalancing those more sweet kind of milk chocolate notes that you sometimes get in a plain porter. Well, smells good enough. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. Very different story on the palate. Immediately there is a big coffee hit. It's almost kind of like a coffee crisp, almost. I'm not going to call it chemical coffee, but like just um, very definite black coffee flavoring. Um, and mixes fairly well with the rest of the beer. You got dark chocolate following that. Made just the slightest hint of a more milky chocolate on the way out, and a bit of creaminess. In terms of mouthfeel, it's a little bit thicker than sort of normal pub ale or something like that. Again, I'd say it's less thick than, say, the Great Lakes Porter I had yesterday, which was a full 6%. A little bit thicker than the Mill Street, which was a flat 5%. So, again, this is, I would say it falls well within the spectrum of what you'd want in a porter. And, like I'm saying, that coffee is definitely coming out more on the palate than it is in the nose, and it's really sort of all the front of the tongue. You get this big coffee thing, and then the beer kind of washes over it. So far, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'll give it a few minutes like I normally do, let it warm a little bit, see how it balances out in the end. So we'll see you then. Welcome back. Now the beer is a little bit warmer. The coffee is more evident in the nose, and there's the slightest bit of sweetness at the end. Not really like a chocolate sweetness, but sort of a molasses kind of sweetness way in the back there. And on the palate, it's gotten a little bit stickier. And again, there's that sort of molasses finish. Uh, in a way, it almost drinks heavier than it really is. Some of the flavor notes I'm getting are more indicative of a larger stout than just a porter. It doesn't quite have that porter sweetness or creaminess that you come to expect. So definitely an interesting product. And to that, I would totally recommend it to someone who is a porter drinker. If you're exploring darker styles of beer, if you like coffee, even better. The one issue to bring up with this beer is the price. So this 750 ml bottle is $9 right now at the LCBO, which a lot of other Ontario beer drinkers I know have a big issue with. And to an extent, I can see their point. For that price, other breweries are putting out much more what you would consider advanced products. Imperial stouts, imperial IPAs, imperial red ales, and generally higher alcohol products. Now, Ontario's taxing system is such that a higher alcohol product will cost more. It just gets taxed more. So, to an extent, you could argue you're getting less value for your money here. And the argument is that Lake of Bays is putting out these big bottles and simply upcharging on the basis that people will see it and see the price and sort of make that connection from other high dollar beers that this must be something totally unique and special. Now, I'm not going to deride this beer as a beer because as a coffee porter, comparing it even to other coffee porters I've had, it's quite nice. It's very pleasant, has some interesting notes. But yeah, the price is a bit of a sticking point. But what I would tell people to consider is even if this is an upcharge over other breweries' products, which I can see the argument, I find it interesting that with a beer, the second it gets near the $10 range, there's suddenly a huge amount of scrutiny on it. Like, people just want to know why is anything in that price range? Why, what ingredients have gone into it? What's so special about it? Whereas if you see a $30 bottle of wine, you don't even think twice. You're just like, okay, that's what it costs. Even a $50 bottle of wine. With whiskeys, it's the same thing. A $100 bottle of single malt scotch, people just sort of assume that's what it costs. So I actually did a blog post about this on my blog and sort of cost versus value. And I'd be interested, again, to hear what you guys think. Why do you think it is that a beer is so much more scrutinized once it gets near that $10 mark than, say, a wine would at the $30 mark or a whiskey would at the $60 mark? It's something to think about. So yes, overall, if you are ready to put down $9 for a decent beer, go ahead. I will admit that there are more advanced beers out there for the same kind of money, but if you're looking for something just to relax with, something with interesting notes but still retain some drinkability, I would say pick it up, take the plunge. It's $9 at the end of the day, which I know for some people is a lot, but next to a bottle of wine, it's really not that much. So, if you've had it, comment about it, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.